growth begins the day you stop making excuses. Sorry about that. It begins the moment you stop making excuses, because the greatest thing that is stopping or hindering you is actually you. Now, having a conversation with a Mr. Kant, our author was asked a very important question, and that question was, John, what's your plan for personal growth? At first, our author was shocked, and then he began to answer. Now, we use the word began to answer because he responded to a lot of things except the question. And this Mr. Kant realized, because he asked him, you don't have a plan, right? Of which he said, I don't even have a plan about it. Now, this led to Mr. Kant telling him a very important statement. And what was that statement? Growth is not an automatic process. We plan for growth. It doesn't just happen all of a sudden. It's something that, it's a process and it's not automatic. Now, based on this statement he was told, it led him to make a decision to develop and follow a personal growth plan for himself. And being a married man, he couldn't just make that decision and stick to it on his own, because he knew that he needed to grow in line with his spouse. So, after having a conversation with her, they agreed to follow through. Now, note that the materials, the growth materials and everything being sold by Mr. Kant was not cheap. It was quite expensive. And at that point, our author and his family did not have enough. But what did they do? They didn't stop. They didn't make an excuse. Instead, they chose to scrape by, they chose to save in order to be able to pay for the materials and other materials that will enhance their growth, because they knew that by growing, something was going to shift and change. Hello everyone, and welcome once again to another episode of the Review With Me podcast. I'm your host and your working reading coach, Mrs. Peace Tamuno. I hope you've been able to watch and review all our previous episodes. We have been reading a very interesting book, and yes, this is the last chapter, chapter 12, and we are talking about growth. I feel so emotional letting go of this book, because this is a great book that has changed the trajectory of my life in a different and a beautiful way. So as I said, we're talking about chapter 12, which is the last chapter, and it is titled Growth. So if you're ready, come with me and let's find out how your growth can make your day count. Alright. Now, making the decision to seek and experience growth daily. The greatest handicap a person has is not realizing their potential. The question you should be asking yourself is, what dreams and talents are inside of you just waiting to be fulfilled? Some of these things can't come out until you move from the stage where you are to another stage, until you grow. How then do we make this decision? Number one, make a commitment to change. The only thrill worthwhile is the one that comes from making something out of yourself. And to do this, you must be willing to change. You know, a lot of people talk about this word called change, but when it's time to change, people don't want to move, because change is not comfortable. Change requires stretching. Change requires moving, and some people are just comfortable in their comfort zone. They don't want to move. But the truth is, the only thing worthwhile is change, and it only happens when you are ready to do it. Because without change, there is no growth. Everything that has to do with growth involves change. Number two, set growth goals. Focus your growth in key areas, specific areas. A wise man once said, the great mystery is not that people do things badly, but that people occasionally do a few things well. Why? Most of the time, it's only few things that they get to do well. Now, another person once said, instead of being a jack of all trades, actually master the art of one. Strength is specific, but incompetence is universal. Now, you can see somebody and say, this person is good at what he does. He's good at what he does. That in quote actually gives a specific nature of his job. Meanwhile, let's just call somebody and the person is doing this, the person is doing that. Incompetence is universal, but strength actually is specific and tied to a particular thing. Remember, we're talking about setting growth goals. So focus in growing the areas of your strength, not your weakness. once you find a particular thing about yourself, it could be a talent or a gift or whatever it is, please focus on growing in that area. Be the best in that area. Remember a particular chapter where we talked about thinking, and we said we gave 11 areas of thinking, and we said instead of trying to be good at all areas, find the one that works best for you and then dwell on it, sit on it, incubate in that aspect or in that area until you become an authority there. The next one, learn to enjoy the journey. Did you know that most grandmasters of chess learn and relearn chess moves, they relearn gambits and combinations over a long period of 15 years before winning their first championship? Yeah, they relearn, they keep doing it and keep practicing, they keep at it for a long time. The truth is, if they don't fall in love with that particular game, after practicing and doing that thing for over 15 years, before you know what is happening, they get tired. But there are some people, like my parents' coach, has actually been into the ministry of parents coaching for over 10 years. And you can still see the passion, you can still see the drive at which she uses. There are a lot of other people. We have men of God, my spiritual father, my spiritual grandfather, my spiritual great grandfather. I am from the lineage of Adeboye, Bishop Oyedepo, David Ibiome. Now, you see that they have been in that particular area and they have become an authority there. You can see the love. It's not something that comes with so much stress. So, we have to learn to enjoy the journey. If you're actually, the truth is, if you're going to spend a long time learning, then you should as well learn to enjoy it while you're at it, instead of frowning your face. That is why we advise people to go for what comes naturally to them, and that's why we talk about talent. Instead of going to learn something, I have no business learning accounting because I don't have a flair for it. So if I'm actually in the field and business of accounting, I won't really enjoy it. No matter how much I try, I won't enjoy it because there's nothing. But when it comes to teaching, when it comes to speaking, I just flow naturally. I always tell people sometimes when I get to be in a counseling session, or probably I'm invited, I say, please, I need my time so I can look at it, because I can just flow and forget myself. So learn to enjoy the journey. Next one, put yourself in a growth environment. Now, there are some species of fish that will grow according to the size of the environment. So if you put them in a limiting size, they won't grow past that. But the size where you put them determines how big they can grow. So what does this mean? When you put yourself in an environment of growth, that environment of growth stretches you. But some people put a ceiling on themselves by putting themselves in a place where they are actually the highest. My spiritual father once said something to us: learn to work or associate with people who, yes, there are people that are on par with you, but people who are above you, because that helps your environment to be stretched. That doesn't put a ceiling on your environment, it helps your environment to expand. So as you're actually growing, it's making you meet more people and you're reaching out. Now also note that you can be in this environment space by the books of these people. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to meet them physically. So you're waiting until I be in that space physically with them before I can start growing. No, you can meet them by reading their books. I've not met John Maxwell, but I'm actually in his growth environment right now. So plan and prioritize your mental health, plan and prioritize your mental, emotional, and spiritual growth, because living in a harsh and limited environment will make you remain small. So either whether you're in a harsh environment or you're in a limited environment, it's loving but there's no growth. That is why I said, like I said in the previous chapter where we talked about values, you don't emotionalize situations. You look at situations rationally and ask yourself, is this situation making me, or is this environment encouraging me to grow? If it's not encouraging me to grow, you move. Like my papa would say, 20 children don't play together for 20 years. Yes, it's not possible for them to play together for 20 years if one person is not prioritizing growth. If they are prioritizing growth and they are blooming and growing, then it's possible. But if one person is not prioritizing growth while the other is prioritizing growth, my dear, please don't emotionalize the situation. Just move on with your growth system, because your growth is very important. No one stays where stagnant water is. And remember, stagnant water stinks. Alright, let's go to managing the discipline of growth. Remember, I said the only thing that will limit you from your growth is you. He was very simple with this. he will grow. His discipline was very simple. He will grow on purpose according to his plan. Now remember, I told you they developed a plan where they were going to work with, and it wasn't easy for them because there were a lot of things that they needed to make sacrifices for. Every growth comes with sacrifice. Now there's an illustration the Holy Spirit gave me concerning growth that goes to show the stretching and the pain and the sacrifices that happens. So there was a particular time I did a planting project with my toddler, and then we planted beans, and while we were watering it every day, he come out in the morning and say, "Mom, where's my beans?" And we go to water it. The day it sprouted, I was looking at it, that sprout, you see some part of the beans where it breaks and then it begins to come out, and the Holy Spirit just opened my eyes to something where, before that beans gets to that point, we keep watering it, so the beans keeps taking in water. First, there's a swelling, there's a stretching, there's a serious stretching, and trust me, that stretching is not funny. So that stretching can come mentally, it can come emotionally, it can come financially, physically, it can come socially. There's always a stretching because you are absorbing something new. And then after that, there was a breaking. The beans breaks into two and something comes out of it. There's a breaking. So sometimes you need to break out of some particular people. You need to break out of an environment. You need to break out of a thought pattern. You need to break out of a situation in order for you to experience a new life. Now, the thing is, that may actually be painful, but when you look at the beautiful sprouts that comes out, its color is so beautiful. The green looks so lively. There's so much life filled in it, and there's so much potential that is out and ready to be explored. So that's the thing about growth. It requires a lot of sacrifice. It requires a lot of pain, but it is gainful. Now, how then do we practice the discipline? I needed to say that for someone. How then do we practice the discipline? Number one, make it your goal to grow in some way every day. Have a daily growth plan. Now, this means desiring little improvements daily and plan it that way. You desire it. You don't just desire. Don't just make your growth plan stop with a desire. I desire. No. Let it be planned, and then you begin to effect it. Work with it. Number two, have a time to plan. Have a time to plan to grow. Now, what does this mean? Every time I speak with people, for those of you who have been following me, I have a book hub on a WhatsApp community. It's virtual. We read and review books weekly. We have every week we review a chapter. So it's also aimed at teaching people how to read. A lot of people who finished from school have not picked up a book to read, and there has been a lot of testimonies of people who have not read this. I've not read a book since this thing, and so far I've been able to read. I can't even imagine. I'm reading and I'm enjoying it. The club hub is meant for personal development and capacity improvement. So now, what do? We have a time. I tell them, pick a time daily and then do something with that time. You don't need to start reading a chapter in one day. No, you can start at your pace. Everybody has a different pace. You may not have read before. The pace at which I read is different from the pace at which another person reads. Of course, I can't compare myself to the pace at which my own spiritual father reads or my mentors. I can't compare myself to the pace which they read, but I have my own pace and you have yours. The main thing is ensuring that you have a time to plan to grow daily. For John Maxwell, he said that we should make growth intentional, strategic, and effective by thinking it through and planning it well. What is his own plan? He reads 2 books in a month. 2 books. And then he listens to audios. Then there were audio lessons. He listens to audio lessons weekly. That is the plan for his growth. So of recent, we've been having a learning session in my home. The way the structure in my home goes, I read and everything, but for some time now, what we've been doing is we've been listening to webinars, myself, my family. We've been listening to webinars, and then we discuss it and we make decisions we take decisions concerning each webinar we listen to. That's a system of growth. So the thing is, just make sure that every day something new enters into you. That's what I tell people. It could be a page a day. Just make sure something new enters into you. Stick to it consistently. Remember, another daily dosing which we talked about was commitment. So you have to be committed to it. All right, let's go to the next one. File what you learn. file what you learn. This involves journaling. See, you cannot do life without journaling. You cannot grow without journaling, because there's sometimes you just listen to a nugget point that will help to twist and turn things around for you. Just write it down. Sometimes it may not even make meaning, but later on you realize that there's something you're about to do, and you find out that, okay, there's something about this that I saw somewhere. You check your journal and you pick it up. So let's learn to journal. Another thing you can do is mark every quotation, everything that speaks out to you. I read audiobooks. I like reading audiobook with PDF reader, so that way I get to highlight, that way I get to mark. Sometimes I even write on my phone in the book. If I send any book to you that I've read, sometimes you will see some highlighted things there. You see some things that I penned down inside that book that I'm sending to you. Even in my hard copy books, just highlights, mark quotations, and then when you finish marking those quotations, the ones that you think you need to capture, write them out and file them. You may need them. You see, when Paul was talking in I think is it one of the letters to, I can't remember, but he was telling them, bring my books, bring my parchments. Now he said, bring my books, bring my parchments. He was talking about, one was talking about books that were printed, one was also talking about books, notes that he wrote out, things that he wrote out, those musings, those thinkings, those things. You find what is happening, you're combining them. An idea is being formed, an idea is being generated that will be used in the future. And then finally, apply what you learn. The test of any learning is applying it. If you don't apply what you learn, then growth has not occurred. So I read 150 books in a day. I read this one and that one, and we are not seeing that book come out in your life. I told people in the hub, I said, reading Make Today Count and finishing it is not just about celebrating, yeah, we finished another book. We read a book, Make Today Count. First, listen to the topic, Make Today Count. What is one thing you are picking? So we've talked about 12 daily dozens. We've talked about family, relationship, growth, values, thinking, with faith. We've talked about a lot of daily dozens. So what is one thing that you are going to pick? What is even one daily dozen that you pick and work with? Because when you finish reading and you don't put it to practice, then you have not actually grown. You've just acquired information, and information without being put into. That's why the Bible says, show me your faith with works. If works is not attached to your information, then growth has not occurred. Make sure that what you are learning is something that can be used to help yourself and help others around you. And with this, we draw a close to chapter 12 of the book, Make Today Count. All right, see you in my next video for the conclusion. So, what will you be doing differently today? Which book will you be reading? Will you join me in reading this Make Today Count? Trust me, you will love it. Thank you very much for staying with me. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and follow. Invite someone as we recultivate once again the reading culture in our society. I'll be seeing you in our next video. I remain your host and your walkthrough reading coach, Mrs. Peace Tamuno. Thank you and God